It's 4 o'clock. The headlines live on 7 News. Iran fights back, bombs drop, American troops killed. The US president issues a sobering warning on the death toll. More than 100,000 Australians stranded overseas as international travel is plunged into chaos. The conflict to hit household budgets hard, petrol prices to soar while the ASX sees red. Plan B for the Grand Prix in the race to get to Albert Park. And intense rain triggers flash flooding warnings. Jane Bunn will have expert analysis.
This is Melbourne's 4 p.m. news with Karina Carvalho.
Good afternoon. First at 4, the Middle East is on the brink of an all-out war as the conflict expands. These are the latest developments. The US and Israel are bombarding strategic sites in Iran, Donald Trump vowing to continue the onslaught for as long as it takes. But Iran is fighting back, firing on the Mediterranean. America has reported its first casualties, 3 soldiers killed. The US president warns there will be more. And this afternoon, more countries are being drawn into the conflict. Let's go straight to Chief Reporter Chris Reason in Tel Aviv. Chris, the conflict is quickly escalating.
Karina, we thought we'd try and track down the site of the missile blast that we've recorded from this very balcony just 2 nights ago on the first day of operations, just into the deep suburbs there of Tel Aviv. We tracked down the location pretty quickly. The building completely decimated, now swarming with construction workers, basically trying to salvage what they could from inside, swarming too with residents trying from either side of the buildings there. Now, it was hit by an Iranian ballistic missile, not much left of the building that was targeted or the buildings either side. But the extraordinary thing about the hit, we spoke to some of the residents who'd lost their properties. One man in particular, and I said, "What are you feeling? Is there much anger here towards what's happening? How upset are you about losing your apartment and everything inside?" His response was quite extraordinary, maybe typifies some of the feeling here in Israel right now, because his answer was that he didn't mind losing his property if it meant the Ayatollah of Iran was going to be killed and it would be regime change in that country. That's how much the people here in Israel want to see this operation complete its task and get rid of the Iranian regime. Let's take a quick listen to some of what that man had to say.
We're a bit tired of all the situation of war and everything, and we know that Iran is responsible for a lot of our tragedies and like October 7th.
Do you ever get used to it?
Not really. Like especially yesterday was really exhausting. Yeah. All the sirens in a row, but I think we take it more easily, with time to time.
Now, all of this comes as we've seen some serious escalation in the violence in this conflict, Karina. This morning, we've seen Hezbollah and Israel exchanging fire up on the northern border. That is a conflict they didn't want to see explode in this, but Hezbollah has put out a statement saying it's fired rockets into Israel in support of Iran and in protest at the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Israel was swift to respond. 10 large strikes, not just in southern Lebanon, but all the way up through the capital, Beirut, as well. They sent out a warning telling residents to get away. We're hearing that thousands did indeed start to make that trek by car and foot further north into the country. But this is a serious development. They had wanted to try and contain that particular potential for war front. They'd only just stopped the Israel-Hezbollah conflict in November of 24. Now as this escalating the conflict starts to embrace more countries across this region, Karina.
Chris Reason, thank you. And we will cross back to Chris a little later in the program. US President Donald Trump has warned the conflict with Iran could last for 4 weeks and more Americans will likely die. He wouldn't take questions today, instead putting out a recorded speech.
This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats.
There have been no confirmed attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. An interim leader has been appointed to replace the Ayatollah and has agreed to talks with Washington. The federal government concedes its options for helping Australians stranded in the Middle East are limited. More than 100,000 Australians are in the region in what's become an extremely volatile environment. Live to National Security Editor Tim Lester in Canberra. Tim, the government says it has one key focus.
Yes, Karina, the government has been at pains to say over the last 2 days its emphasis is on keeping Australians safe. We are now starting to understand just what a big job that could be.
We have about 115,000 people in the region.
The Foreign Affairs Minister tells 7 Sunrise of the well-worn path between Australia and the area now under siege as Iran's regime fights to survive.
It's about 11,000 a day in and out of Australia. It gives you a sense of the scale of it.
The Foreign Affairs Department has set up a portal for Australians in Iran, Israel, Qatar and the UAE to register. But the minister warns
the fastest way we can try to get people home is if commercial flights recommence. That's where you get the volume and the scale.
We're in real trouble.
New One Nation recruit Barnaby Joyce focused on a very different threat, Australia's fuel reserves, notoriously low, with recent figures showing the country below 1 month's supply of petrol, diesel and jet fuel. Now the Iran conflict appears to be closing the most fraught oil corridor on earth, the Strait of Hormuz, choking 20% of global oil exports.
But we've got the same old policy, cross those fingers, everything will be fine. We are completely unprepared for this.
Even if there isn't direct interruption of that oil supply, we know that heightened events like this in the Middle East do increase oil prices, and that will have consequences for Australians.
Australia's 3 largest suppliers of refined oil are closer to home, Singapore, South Korea and Japan, but already events in the Middle East are driving oil prices around the world higher, and inevitably Australians are going to pay for that. Karina.
Absolutely they are. Tim Lester in Canberra, thank you. Missiles are shutting down key Middle Eastern airspace and grounding major airlines. Blake Johnson explains why the shutdown is costing airlines millions a day and leaving travellers out of pocket.
Not a lot of good news for passengers booked on the big 3 Middle Eastern airlines. Their precious aircraft sit silent at airports around the world, grounded while missiles take over their usual airspace. Passengers booked with them are unsure what to do next.
We're meant to be going on pre-season tour on Saturday to Abu Dhabi as well. So we're like, well, that's probably not going to happen. And then it's just like, how are we going to get home?
Abu Dhabi might be off the cards for Ben, but he has friends there.
It's just surreal that they're in hotels that we've been in and they're playing at grounds we've been in and they're just, taking shelter, really.
We've got a go bag right at our hotel front door with passports, wallets, credit cards, a change of clothes.
More than 2,000 flights to the Middle East were cancelled overnight. Each airline is updating its plans day by day, but at this stage, it is way out of their control.
If the regime is intent on doing harm to the Persian airlines, then this could take a long time.
The Middle Eastern market is a very important route, air corridor into and out of Australia. 157 return flights on any standard week.
The airspace shutdown costs Emirates an estimated $134 million a day. It'll cost customers too. Very rarely does travel insurance cover cancellations because of war.
There's a reason why exclusion of war policies exist, and that is because they're very large events and they're almost impossible to be able to price.
There are still relatively cheap airfares available to Europe. Keep an eye on the Chinese carriers, but beware of long transit times.
Blake Johnson, thank you. Grand Prix bosses say the Middle East travel chaos won't impact Melbourne's Formula One event. Jordan Quinn has the latest on Albert Park preparations ahead of the gates opening on Thursday.
Good afternoon. Well, the stage is set here at Albert Park for the Australian Grand Prix that kicks off in just a matter of days. As you can see, the finishing touches are being put on the main straight as the Formula One teams start to arrive here in Melbourne. But for these teams, the past 48 hours have been chaotic. Most of their equipment has arrived, but it's understood around 500 F1 staff have had to be rerouted on 3 charter flights to ensure they arrive on time. The head of the Australian Grand Prix says the Middle East conflict has made minimal impacts on race operations and that the majority of staff, certainly drivers and critical personnel, will arrive here with plenty of time to prepare.
As far as I know, the information I've had from Formula One is that everyone needs to be here will be here. There'll be no impact on the race or the event in any way. How that looks for every team for F1, I'm not exactly sure. But from an event delivery point of view, you won't notice any difference.
There is still a lot of work to be done to fit out pit lane, with a lot of the cargo still sitting on the main straight. No doubt that will occur over the next few days while the finishing touches are put on all of the hospitality offerings. Last year's record-breaking crowd of 465,000 people over the 4 days is expected to be broken again. Saturday's qualifying and Sunday's race day are both already sold out.
Jordan Quinn reporting from Albert Park. Meteorologist Jane Bunn joins us now. And Jane, parts of Victoria have been swamped by a month's rain.
Absolutely, Karina. Let's start with how much rain has actually fallen. Anything green here, so the darker green, pretty much half of the state, more than 50 millimetres. Anything blue is over 100. Mildura now more than 150 millimetres. They average 20 for the entire month at this time of year. Having a look at what still came during the day today. The yellow area is where we have those intense falls. That's where you can get 40 to 60 millimetres in a 6-hour period, but it is all very slowly moving eastwards. We still have that northeastern corner of the state that has now had 20 to 40 millimetres, so you can add that to that map from before. Let's have a look at what this looks like on the ground. Avoca and the Avon, Richardson rivers, they are under flooding at the minute, but the flood watches have been left. So this here is that intense flash flooding, not associated with rivers, but we're seeing that activity slowly starting to clear eastwards as the day goes on. It's not coming south of the ranges. However, in the city out there now, let's have a look at that live cam of the city there. You can't even see the tops of the buildings. We've gone from 20 to 22.5. It's incredibly muggy, and this light rain is likely to be with us until the early hours of tomorrow, Karina.
What a shot. Thanks so much, Jane. The rest of today's news is coming up after the break, including a Melbourne aged care home pleads guilty over a deadly COVID outbreak that left dozens of families grieving. So-called Bali 3 wait to learn their fate after a deadly ambush that killed a Melbourne dad. And where is Jackie O, the radio star, missing in action as Kyle addresses the spat on air? You're watching 7's Afternoon News. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Developing now on 7 News, this is a live look at the Israeli skyline. Our special coverage of the Middle East conflict continues soon. Making news now closer to home, a Fawkner aged care provider has pleaded guilty to a criminal charge 6 years after a deadly wave of COVID-19. St Basil's was the centre of one of the first and most lethal COVID outbreaks in 2020, where dozens of residents died. Jacqueline Stanley reports from the County Court.
This has been a long and arduous process for the families of the 45 people who passed away. Finally, some closure, with the aged care provider pleading guilty in court today, but only to a charge of failing to train their staff correctly. The 8 other charges brought by WorkSafe have been dropped. Amidst the confusion and chaos of March 2020, the court heard not all St Basil's staff understood how to effectively wear PPE, and eventually the COVID outbreak became Melbourne's deadliest. The aged care provider will be sentenced next week.
Some of them were really, really good at their job and did everything, and then there would be 1 or 2 or 3 would slacken off and don't do it, and that's when a company will go down. It was a terrible end.
They put them in this home on the understanding that they will be taken care of. That did not happen. They died alone in a cold bed in the dark.
And now a class action with more than 100 complainants can continue, those families claiming they suffered serious psychological harm.
Jacqueline Stanley reporting. The Bali Three will need to wait another week to learn their fate in the Denpasar District Court. The Australians are charged with murder over the shooting of Melbourne father Zivan Radmanovic in Bali last June. Arriving at court this morning, they were told the panel of judges have not yet finished preparing their verdict, with the decisions postponed until next Monday. Mr Radmanovic's family travelled to Bali for the verdict, surprised and upset at today's development. Shock jock Kyle Sandilands has hosted his Kiss breakfast radio show alone this morning. Jackie O walked out of the studio a week and a half ago during an on-air spat, and she didn't return this morning as planned.
Listen, I do feel that Jackie will be back, so I know there's a lot of speculation and everyone thinks they know everything. But if anyone would know anything, it would be me, and I know nothing. Zero. Big, fat zero about anything.
The show's producer says Jackie is doing well, but she won't return this week. Time for a look ahead to sport. Beck Maddern. The Hawks have run into trouble early.
Yes, Karina. Their new skipper, John Newcombe, is in hot water and could miss the opening round clash. I'll have details ahead. Also, Stephen May and the Demons part ways after a tumultuous off-season comes to a head. And the Mighty Matildas kick off their Asian Cup campaign with a bang, and that is thanks to Sam Kerr. I'll have details on that just ahead.
So good to see her firing again. Thanks, Beck.
Thank you.
Well, there's plenty more news on the way after the break. See the crashing end to a split-second mistake in Brunswick. The accused sex creep with nowhere to live, what it means for his freedom fight. And our Eurovision contestant finally revealed an Aussie pop princess set to fly the flag for Australia. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back shortly. Developing now on 7 News, this is a live look at Lebanon's capital, Beirut, which has come under attack by Israeli airstrikes, with Hezbollah firing back. We'll bring you more from the Middle East soon. But first to today's other news, a French tourist accused of raping a woman in the city on New Year's Eve has dropped his bid for bail. A court heard Adam Bergiga can't find anywhere to live after he was evicted from his St Kilda share house. The 22-year-old was arrested at Sydney Airport 3 days after the alleged attack. A new angle of a terrifying crash reveals just how lucky an elderly man was to walk away without serious injuries. His Mercedes went through the boom gates at a Brunswick level crossing and onto the path of an oncoming train. The 89-year-old man is expected to make a full recovery. The 2026 Actor Awards have rolled out the red carpet in LA with lights, camera and a little old school glamour. Honouring Hollywood's best, the event is one of the most important stops before the Oscars. Miley Hogan was there.
This year, the Actor Red Carpet has a theme for the first time in its history, reimagining Hollywood glamour from the 20s and 30s.
There were sequins, tuxedos, top hats and feather boas.
When you heard about the theme, were you like, I cannot wait?
Yes, no, I said, I know exactly what I'm going to wear. The theme is 20s and 30s glamour, so I said, I'm putting on the Ritz, baby.
Jessie Buckley won Best Actress in a Drama for her work in Hamnet. Michael B. Jordan named Best Actor for Sinners.
I don't even know where to begin.
Jacob Elordi, Sarah Snook and Rose Byrne were flying the flag for the Aussies. Sadly, it wasn't their night. The major award of the evening, Most Outstanding Cast in a Motion Picture, went to...
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Comedic legend Catherine O'Hara was posthumously awarded Outstanding Actress in a Comedy Series, her co-star accepting the actor in her honour.
I know she would have been honoured to receive this award from her fellow performers, who I know she respected so much.
Harrison Ford, with a career spanning decades, was honoured with the Life Achievement Award.
I'm a lucky guy.
It's the award show voted by actors, for actors, and one of the last of the season. The winners from tonight usually go into the Academy Awards as favourites.
Now that the show is over, the stars get to take their awards and go and celebrate their win.
Miley Hogan in LA. Pop princess Delta Goodrem will represent Australia at this year's Eurovision Song Contest, where she'll perform her new single, Eclipse. This is the 11th year Australia has competed in Eurovision. It kicks off in Vienna in May, with Delta performing on the 14th. You're watching 7's Afternoon News with special Middle East coverage. We're live to the conflict zone as missiles fly. 3 American servicemen killed. Donald Trump warns more will follow. Plus, stranded Aussies caught in the travel chaos crossfire. We break down the impact on your hip pocket. In sport, troubled Demon Stephen May calls time on his career on the eve of the 2026 season. And later, what's hot and what's not in the toy world, the inside word from the Melbourne Mega Fair. We're live from Melbourne on 7 and 7 Plus. Stay with us. You're watching 7 News Melbourne. I'm Karina Carvalho. These are the stories we're following this hour. The conflict in the Middle East escalates. Iran strikes back as Donald Trump vows combat at full force for as long as it takes. 115,000 Australians are stranded in the Middle East, with both Dubai and Abu Dhabi airports hit by Iranian missile strikes. F1 officials insist the Australian Grand Prix will go ahead as teams and officials scramble to arrive via other routes. A Fawkner aged care home pleads guilty to a criminal charge over a deadly wave of COVID that killed more than 40 residents. And Stephen May calls time on his AFL career. Returning now to the Middle East, the conflict is widening as Iran fires back. Let's go straight to Chris Reason, who's live in Tel Aviv for us this afternoon. Chris, you've seen the destruction this conflict is causing firsthand.
Yeah, good afternoon again, Karina. We decided we'd try and go and explore and find where the location of an extraordinary bombing attack, one of the rare times the Iranian ballistic missiles managed to get through Israel's defences. It hit somewhere in the back suburbs over there of Tel Aviv. It didn't take us long to find. There's the pictures there. The building completely destroyed. The 2 buildings either side of it look like they'll have to be condemned and pulled down. And residents there scrambling to get what they could out of their apartments. One woman was killed there. We spoke to one young man helping clear out his sister's apartment and asked him, how are you feeling? Are you despondent, in despair? Are you upset about what's happened, the destruction of your sister's apartment and life and livelihood? And he said he gave an extraordinary reaction, Karina, saying that he wasn't disappointed, he wasn't upset. He realised that this was the price that they had to pay to help in the fight to bring down Ayatollah Khamenei and also the Iranian regime. Israelis want regime change desperately in that country, and he said, this is what we're going to have to go through. An extraordinary reaction. Let's listen to some of what he had to say.
We are a bit tired of all the situation of war and everything, and we know that Iran is responsible for a lot of our tragedies and like October 7th.
Do you ever get used to it?
Not really. Especially yesterday was really exhausting. Yeah. All the sirens in a row, but I think we take it more easily, with time to time.
That as some serious developments here this morning in Israel and the northern borders. Hezbollah, the terrorist organisation based in the south of Lebanon, decided it was going to take a revenge attack on Israel for toppling Ayatollah Khamenei, and they put out a statement saying that's exactly what they were doing. The missiles came raining in on northern Israel. The Israeli Defence Force was quick to respond and fire back. They sent out a message warning people to evacuate. You can see pictures there of people in their cars. They were moving by the thousands further north into the country. It's a really serious development here. They've only just got on top of the last Israel-Hezbollah conflict in November of 2024, and now this outbreak. Another example, Karina, of this conflict, this mess of war spreading across the Middle East.
It really is. Chief Reporter Chris Reason in Tel Aviv live for us. Thank you. Donald Trump has warned the US can expect more American casualties after 3 service members were killed in action. He says the strikes will continue for as long as it takes to secure America's safety. US correspondent Rob Scott has the details.
Well, Donald Trump has now returned here to Washington after spending the weekend at his private estate in Florida. The president choosing not to stop to talk to the waiting press as he walked into the White House.
What is your goal, Mr. President?
But before he left Mar-a-Lago, he recorded a message to the American people, a battlefield update.
Over the past 36 hours,
The United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen.
Revealing the US military has struck hundreds of Iranian military targets, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, air defence systems, and sinking 9 of Iran's Navy ships. He says much of the country's military command has been killed, including the supreme leader.
This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands.
The president also paid tribute to the 3 US service personnel who've been killed, describing them as patriots who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization.
Donald Trump says the strikes in Iran will continue for as long as it takes to complete the mission objectives and secure America's safety. His latest estimate is the conflict could drag on for 4 weeks. The president says the new leadership group in Iran has reached out and wants to talk to him. He says he is willing to do that, but as to when that'll happen, he's not sure. But he says he'll never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and he'll use the might of the US military to make sure that that doesn't happen. Describing Operation Epic Fury as right and necessary, and urging Iranians to rise up, to seize the moment and to take back their country.
Rob Scott in Washington. The federal government is working to repatriate more than 100,000 Australians stranded in the Middle East. Foreign Minister Penny Wong has assured Canberra is working with commercial airlines to get Australians out of the region.
The fastest way we can try to get people home is if commercial flights recommence. That's where you get the volume and the scale.
Major airports in Dubai and Abu Dhabi have been hit by Iranian missile strikes. Let's get some local reaction now from the Iranian community here in Melbourne. Vice President of the Australian Iranian Society of Victoria, Kambiz Razmara, joins me now. Kambiz, thanks so much for your time. Your reaction to what's taken place in the Middle East over the weekend, and in particular the killing of Iran's Supreme Leader.
Thank you for your interest. Look, obviously, this is a step forward to freedom. So it is a hopeful anticipation of what's to come. Obviously, there's a long road ahead, lots of uncertainty, but one step at a time.
The scenes out of Melbourne were of jubilation last night. Is that the overriding emotion in your community?
Predominantly, obviously, people are joyous that there is hope to come, and so that's global sentiments reflected as we saw in Melbourne. So pretty much.
How concerned are you for the welfare of family and friends in Iran?
Look, obviously we're all concerned about the uncertainty, what's to come. No one wants to confront war and destruction and deaths. But this time, as opposed to the 12-day war last year, people are a lot calmer, and they are waiting in anticipation for progress to happen and for freedom to come. How long it will take is obviously unknown.
Yeah, you said this is a first step towards freedom. What do you think the chances are of regime change in Iran?
Well, at this point in time, it is difficult to tell, frankly, but can I just say that people are resolved in bringing about change in Iran. People are sick and tired of oppression. People are sick and tired of deaths. We had 30,000 plus in very short space of time, early in January, the size of Amy Stadium, die in 2 days. So we're sick of it. So people want change, but as to how long it will take, we watch and wait.
Yes, and the world is watching and waiting too. Kambiz Razmara, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your interest.
And we'll have full coverage of the Middle East conflict in 7 News at 6 and a special edition of 7 News America Strikes at 9:15 tonight with Michael Usher. Sport is next with Rebecca Maddern, including a premiership demon calling it quits. Also, why the new Hawks skipper might not be there for opening round. Plus, it's playtime in Melbourne. We get a sneak peek of the hottest toys of the year. We're live from Melbourne on this Monday afternoon. Beck is back with sport, and Beck, we're set for a tribunal case before the AFL season has even begun.
Yeah, that's right, Karina. Hawks co-captain Jai Newcombe has been given a one-match ban for a dangerous tackle. The incident was against Bulldogs midfielder Ed Richards from their clash on Friday night. And Hawthorn is expected to challenge the decision before the season gets underway.
He's such an important player for us. He's our skipper now too, so obviously we're really hoping he's out there, but yeah, I feel like we've got the depth now that obviously I've been out sort of the last 2 years and we've had guys starting to step up, and this will be another opportunity.
The Hawks face the Giants on Saturday. Andrew Dillon has been in Sydney launching the new season, kicking off with the Blues and Swans on Thursday night. Melbourne CEO Paul Guerra admits there are mixed emotions surrounding the retirement of Stephen May. The Premiership defender made a brief appearance at the club this morning to bid a final farewell to his teammates. He took to social media last night to confirm he's pulling the pin.
The quote from Steve via the player WhatsApp and then the quote from the club is all he's retiring to focus on his family and himself.
Ultimately, us as a club, we've got standards and values that we expect everybody at the football club to meet. Stephen knew he wasn't meeting those, so took the decision to retire.
May played 251 games for the Suns and Demons. It wasn't pretty, but the Matildas ensured they opened their home Asian Cup campaign with a win against the Philippines in Perth last night. Star captain Sam Kerr scored her first goal for Australia in over 2 years.
I think I'm just finding my confidence again. I think that's probably where I'm strongest. I don't know. I guess that's for other people to judge, but I feel like I am still my normal self.
Mary Fowler made a short cameo off the bench in the 1-0 win as she returns from a knee reconstruction. The Matildas' next group match is against Iran on the Gold Coast on Thursday night. Arsenal restored their 5-point buffer on. Manchester United is third on the table, coming from behind to beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Tottenham lost 2-1 to Fulham and sit just 4 points above the relegation zone. Australia has retained their multi-format series crown over India with a thumping victory in the third and final one-dayer in Hobart. After a vintage 158 with the bat, retiring skipper Elisa Healy bowled for the first time in international cricket. Now her husband Mitchell Starc critical in the commentary box.
Here it is. No, top edge for 4. Not that easy, is it?
I've never had a bowl in international cricket, so I thought, why not tonight?
Alana King took 4 wickets as India were bowled out for 224. The Aussies winning by 185 runs in Healy's final white ball match. Australia take an unassailable 4-point series lead into the one-off Test finale in Perth starting on Friday. And India secured their spot in the T20 World Cup semi-finals with a 5-wicket win over the West Indies.
Oh, here goes big. Samson wants to finish it off.
Needing 196 runs for victory, India completed their highest tournament run chase with 4 balls to spare. They'll face England for a spot in the final. South Africa will play New Zealand in the semis after beating Zimbabwe by 5 wickets in their final Super 8 match. Mitchell Starc, a game man, isn't he, in the commentary box?
She might have some words with him at home.
It's easy for the commentators to say what should and shouldn't be done. It's hard playing.
Good on her. Thanks so much, Beck. From timeless classics to the latest craze in collectibles, the hottest new toys have been unveiled at a mega fair in Melbourne. Here's Big Kid Tyra Stowers.
Well, we have seen everything from plush vegetables to Pokemon cards and giant elves here at the Australian Toy Fair.
So these ones are predicted by the kids to be winners this year. So we've got the Zipstring Arcana and we have the Stunt Garage by Hot Wheels. So this is 4 to 6 and this is the 7 to 12. And then these 3, they're all predicted by the retailers to do well. So we've got the Uno Formula 1. So this is actually for kidults, so anyone 13 plus. Then you've got these little cute micro pets. And then we've got this lovely Peek and Learn house by VTech.
It seems nostalgia is making a comeback with Pokemon cards flying off shelves and Care Bears front and centre for retailers.
People are investing, a lot of money in Pokemon. The returns are very high, and it's become a real industry now.
The annual toy show, a chance for retailers to show buyers never-before-seen toys and showcase items set to hit shelves soon.
Comes out in September, this one, so we're looking forward to exciting young girls around the country.
And we'll have more on what made this year's hot list at the Australian Toy Awards in the news at 6.
Tara, thank you. Across Victoria, you're watching 7 News. Jane's up next with the latest weather warnings. The conflict in the Middle East has had an immediate effect on financial markets. Here's James Tao from ING.
Good afternoon. As was widely expected, global oil prices jumped on the resumption of trade this morning in response to the rising tensions in the Middle East. The major global benchmarks opened up more than 10% higher, but have since settled back a touch, around 6% higher at the moment, with oil prices trading between $70 to $80 a barrel. While some analysts forecast it could rise even further on greater supply disruption, future moves will likely be dependent on the extent of attacks on any oil and gas infrastructure in the region, but also if major shipping routes like the Strait of Hormuz are partially or fully blocked for prolonged periods of time. Now, retail petrol prices here in Australia are based off the Singapore benchmark, and changes can sometimes have a lag of 1 to 2 weeks before prices are reflected at the bowser. But just last year, there was a similar situation between the two countries where there was a 2-week conflict. This led to a brief spike in petrol prices of about 10 to 15% among major capital cities before settling down again. Now, moving to the share market reaction, despite the broader risk-off mood, the ASX 200 actually managed to finish the day flat and at record levels, lifting 2 points, although it did fall as much as 75 points at its lowest levels. Oil and gas stocks really rallied today, with the energy sector up around 5.5%, tracking global oil prices higher. Crude energy was one of the best today, up about 15%. Safe havens like gold were also in high demand, helping to push up local gold miners. Meanwhile, travel stocks were some of the hardest hit. The likes of Flight Centre and Qantas were down about 5% each. Tech and bank stocks also ended well in the red. And the Aussie dollar, which is highly linked to global economic activity, did recoup some of its earlier losses and is now just below 71 US cents.
Now for a look ahead to our next major bulletin with Peter Mitchell. Mitch, of course, you'll have all the latest on the developments out of the Middle East.
Hello, Karina. Yes, indeed. We have teams in key locations right across the globe and will cross to Israel, the US and our own Melbourne airport for the very latest. Also in the news tonight, we speak to the farmers swamped by intense rainfall as they count the cost of the deluge, and a 150-year-old maritime mystery solved 60 metres below the sea off the coast of Gippsland. That's all coming up straight after the chase, Karina.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Mitch.
Thank you.
Jane Bunn returns now. Jane, what's the latest on the rain?
Oh, Karina, the heavy rain in the north gradually eases tonight. Melbourne's light rain does continue into tomorrow morning. We've had 40 to 70 millimetres in a short time, producing flash flooding like this here in Kyabram, after 100 millimetres into the gauge. Anything dark green here, a quarter of the state centred over the northwest, is more than 50 millimetres. Blue, more than 100. Mildura's had an exceptional more than 150 millimetres. 20 is the average for the entire month there. The warning area is across the north of the state, gradually spreading and contracting eastwards as tropical moisture feeds low pressure that is creating this widespread rain. The latest warning is only for the northeast quarter and should be downgraded as the evening progresses. It dries up as all of that heads over the ranges into the south of the state with less spectacular totals, but it still looks miserable out there, the cloud shrouding the city's buildings as light rain falls. Only 8 millimetres into the city. Geelong's had 20 though, Red Hill 25. The heavy rain stays up to our north, not reaching us here. Instead, this lighter rain keeps regenerating and passing through. There's a lot of tropical moisture in the air, so while temperatures are down, it can feel warmer than it actually is when the wind is light. Essentially, Queensland has come for a visit, 23, and Coldstream feeling like 25. The tropical air has been here since late last week, fueling a tropical low just to our north. It finally turns dry to the west of that low and trough, and all of that is slowly moving eastwards. Around the nation tomorrow, dry in Brisbane, partly cloudy, 29. Rain for Sydney, heaviest in the morning, but less than 10 millimetres. Up to 30 millimetres in Canberra, dry and mild in Hobart and Adelaide, hot sunshine in the west. To Victoria, the trough lingers in the far east, so that's where the high humidity and rain and storms are. The low weakens, so the intensity of the rain weakens. Light rain over the south, slowly contracting eastwards. Mild out there tomorrow as the humidity dissipates in southwesterly winds. So in Melbourne, the drizzly rain does continue into the morning, then it clears, but it's cloudy, just 20. It'll feel cooler with less humidity. The Queensland air is disappearing. More at 6, Karina.
Okay, thanks so much, Jane. And that's all from Melbourne's afternoon news. Thank you for joining us. For now, from the 7 News team, take care and enjoy your evening.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.